Good afternoon and welcome everyone to an Amplitude Studio stream. My name is Jordan Merrill and I am very happy to be here and welcome you all to a very special and exciting stream that we have planned for you today regarding the expansion Together We Rule that is going to be coming soon to Humankind. I am joined by two special guests that you see here at my left or your right, I guess. We were discussing this before the stream about my right, your right. But yeah, we have Benoit and Camille. Welcome in.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules, working hard in the mines, making the game to join me here on camera so that the public can see your beautiful faces and that we can have a fun stream here.
Thank you for inviting us as well.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure. I love hanging out with exciting and creative people. So it's a good time having you here.
Yeah.
So to everyone that is in the stream, everyone that's rolling in the stream, I want to give you all kind of a little heads up about what's going to be going on today. We are going to be talking about the expansion, Together We Rule, and we're going to be going over the general elements of the expansion, and the designers are going to be giving their version, I guess, their
point of view.
Yeah, their point of view. They're going to be sharing their expertise with us and going over some of these important and game-changing aspects that will be coming in the expansion. So sit tight. We have a lot of stuff to cover, and we're first going to get started off by talking a little bit about the past and what's happened already in Humankind over the past year. So we do have some announcements that we will be making later, so sit tight and we'll get to it. But anyways, I guess first let's talk about each one of you and kind of have the community get to know you a little bit better. Benoit and Camille, we've both had you on stream before, but would you mind giving chat? I'm just going to call them chat from now on, so if you hear me say chat, that's just them.
That's good for me.
Okay, cool. Benoit, let's start off with you. Could you give us a little introduction, get the people to know a little bit about you?
Of course. I'm Benoit Umber. I used to work as the main historian on the game for the vanilla game, so during the main production of Humankind. But I became, a year ago, the game director for the live, so I'm in charge of trying to analyze the feedbacks of the players and adjusting our main vision of the game and the main vision of what we would like to do during the live according to all those feedbacks, and trying to do the best that we can to give you guys new DLC, updates, free contents and various stuff. And believe me, we have a lot of things in mind.
Awesome. That's cool. So yeah, you've progressed here as you've been at Amplitude from historian to game designer.
Yeah, game director, which is not exactly game designers.
Okay.
There is there is game designers and a lead game designer called Balthazar. I'm sure you have already seen him in streams.
The titles always get me confused, but yeah.
Sometimes me too, you know.
So director is different than director of the studio, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm not.
So you're not a director with a capital D.
I don't know if there is a capital D on my contract. I've never paid any attention to that. But what I know is I'm in charge of the vision of the live and what we should do and what we want to do.
That's awesome. So before you started working at Amplitude, did you work on any other gaming projects?
No gaming project. I was working, first I did my PhD and I was working for the university. I was publishing papers and stuff like that. And then I worked for video documentaries, on different channels in Europe, so on different projects for 5 years, I guess, and I met Romain de Vaubert, who is the director of the studio, And so I just discovered that I was a huge fan of 4X games since Civilization 1, yeah, back in the days. So we can pronounce this word and this name. It's not
It's not taboo in here.
Definitely not.
No, I think it is important for our viewers to know that, you know, a lot of the people that are working on Humankind, whose vision it was to make Humankind, were inspired, you know,
Of course.
who loved games of this similar genre.
Definitely.
You know, so
and I was this kind of people. So and he took me as the historian for the game to help them making the game.
that's super cool. So we should be calling you Dr. Umber, right?
Technically, yeah. But you know, doctor in French means something else, so it's always weird.
Okay.
Doctor, normally you are medicine?
Right, médecin.
Médecin.
In French, yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Interesting.
quite confusing
Yeah.
for the people.
In English, it's. I feel like if I got my doctorate, I would definitely want people to call me doctor,
Yeah, I
just
know.
because I'm like, I put through the effort and I did the homework. Like, that's what I would want. But I get that it'd be kind of weird to have somebody call you like doctor.
But on my resume, it's definitely...
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. You got to do it.
of course.
That's super cool. All right. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well? Tell us where you come from.
No, not as much as Benoit. But so yeah, I'm Camille, the user experience and user interface designer on Humankind since it's released for more than 1 year now, and I'm in the studio of Amplitude since this time. So yeah, I only work on Humankind for now.
Cool. And have you worked on any other gaming projects before now?
Yeah, some personal projects, but in school and in my free time, but very little project, and some mobile projects, but just for publicity or things like advertising.
Very cool. Well, that is very awesome. Thank you all for sharing a little bit about yourselves. Without further ado, let's get talking about Humankind a little bit more.
Sure.
And kind of what work that you've done. And I think the first question I want to ask is, where have you seen Humankind evolve the most over the past year? Obviously, the game itself looks a little different than what it looked like at launch, and I think we can all agree, including the community, that you know, a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
What do you feel like has changed the most?
Well, that's a good question, because working on the project, sometimes it's hard to see it evolving through time, because you're always focusing on the same things. But I think the general experience and the quality of life changes we made the game more enjoyable and sometimes more clear on the rules and the different effects and all the mechanics we have in the game. Of course, we are aware that the game wasn't perfect, and we are still working on different things according, again, to all those feedbacks I was talking about earlier. But at the very end, for me, I think the major update and major rework was maybe on the war system and the war score, because it was something the players were complaining about a lot. And I can definitely agree with them.
Yeah.
And I understand we understood their complaint, definitely. And I hope it's now something that they enjoy. And but there is so many things we've changed, and not only fixing the bugs. You know, there is more than that. So
I think it's easy to forget, you know, certain things that have changed, because it just becomes the new normal immediately. Yeah. And so I distinctly remember playing Humankind, and I think a lot of differences come in the AI. The AI has improved drastically. You know, sure, maybe there's still room to improve, but I remember before, you know, you'd get in a huge battle with an AI, you'd defeat a ton of their units, 5 war score, or 5 war support.
Yeah.
And I was like,
for this, it was just...
I just destroyed so many of their units, and I only got 5 for this? Dang it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that dynamic change with the way that wars function and how it feels like you can actually, you know, finish a war on your terms. You know, sure, maybe you become a warmonger, but you know, if that's what your strategy is at the time, you know, it can work out for you. And each battle feels more decisive in the course of a war. And I think it's actually forced our players, you know, to become better at actually fighting wars. And maybe some people are realizing they're not as great at waging battle in Humankind.
Maybe at the very beginning it could be frustrating, because as you said, you have to adapt to a new gameplay style.
Yeah, sending all your outdated troops to just like go ham in a battle may not be the best idea. You're going to lose a bunch of war score or war support. Cool. That's awesome. We actually have a short video, which some of you might have seen if you were here at the anniversary stream that we had recently. But I'd like to just roll it back. We can enjoy it again. And for those of you that haven't seen it, you'll see it for the first time. This is kind of a one-year retrospective that we put together. We hope you like it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our retrospective, celebrating Humankind's one-year anniversary. Time has been flying by, and looking back, we're proud of how the game has grown since its release. Putting you, our community, at the center of game development has always been an essential value for all of us at Amplitude. Seeing your enthusiasm for Humankind when it debuted, we couldn't have been happier. After taking just a quick moment to celebrate, we got right back to work and have been listening closely to your feedback on the game.
So, how has Humankind changed this past year? One major source of player frustration we identified shortly after release was the game and conditions. In particular, the turn limit and pollution thresholds were too limiting and prevented players from getting the full Humankind experience. So, we gave you the possibility to toggle individual and conditions. We also turned off the pollution system by default, meaning now your game doesn't have to end unless you want it to.
War support was one of the key new systems we introduced in Humankind, which included the forced surrender mechanic. And even though our hearts were in the right place, we realized that forced surrender could feel unfair to you, our players, especially for the militarists out there. This issue was recognized soon after release, but we wanted to take the time to offer a true, lasting solution. This June, we released the Bolivar update, which, among other things, lifted the forced surrender limitations. You can now continue war once your enemy reaches 0 war support. When to impose your demands remains up to you, but be careful, as war always comes at a price.
Balancing is another important priority for us. Whether it's the culture and their affinities or the AI behaviors, balance in a 4X game can be tricky and hard to achieve on the first try. Thanks to your feedback, we have been implementing balancing tweaks and will continue to do so, in order to provide you with the best experience possible.
A central pillar of Humankind is building your civilization through history, using the unique culture transition system. Being able to mix different culture traits gives Humankind unparalleled depth. However, having your opponent changing cultures and more importantly names, each new era was disrupting player immersion. Our latest update introduced the immersive player names feature to make you feel like you are interacting with the same leaders throughout your game, rather than with different cultures.
Humankind's primary ambition is to represent our world's amazing diversity and acknowledge the incredible range of cultures that have shaped it and still do. The game includes 60 cultures from different historical eras, and in the past year we have added 13 new ones to enhance representation from across the world.
Our first DLC, Cultures of Africa, features 6 cultures from the African continent, while our second DLC, Cultures of Latin America, focused on 6 cultures from the Americas, as well as 1 free culture, the Mississippians. We plan to keep adding new ones to enrich the Humankind experience. Art and music are vital factors in immersion and something we're really putting our hearts into. As gamers ourselves, we're thrilled by how enthusiastic our community is about what we've achieved with the world of Humankind. It's a journey we look forward to continuing alongside our community by adding new content such as Units art, new wonders, and more unique soundtracks.
We are proud to see how Humankind has grown since its release, and we are not planning on stopping there. We want to dive into more complex systems and mechanics, such as diplomacy, religion and pollution. And we can't wait to share what we've prepared for the upcoming month with you. Thanks again to all of you for your feedback and support.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. What a year it has been. Honestly, there's been so many changes, so many things that have happened, improved with Humankind. It honestly doesn't even feel like the same game in some ways, which I think is a good thing. I think games these days are always evolving, growing, and as we learn from the community, we can make them better together. And I think that is our whole message, at Amplitude, is that we do want to make games together, which, by the way, if you don't have a Games Together account, go make one, okay? That's the plug. We did it. But anyways, let's talk about that year that we've had. There have been so many things that have changed. How do we prioritize what it is that we want to change first? Because, the community, you all, give us a huge, I don't think you understand. There are so many channels of feedback that we receive, ideas, bug reports, all of those things come in. How do we decide what to focus on first, prioritize first?
Well, it's a big part of my job, but thanks to the community managers, they are always gathering all the feedbacks, and we are trying to answer as much as possible all the questions and all the suggestions the people are doing. But in fact, when we were developing the game, we already had an idea of where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do in the future. But we are constantly adjusting this kind of roadmap or timeline, call it whatever you want, but we are constantly adjusting it according to the feedbacks, because sometimes there is things we weren't expecting. I mean, some reaction to a specific feature, or sometimes we have an idea we didn't had before. So it really depends, mainly of the community and the relationship we have with the community.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning of the launch of Humankind, there were a lot of bugs that we had to get fixed first, and I think some people may have seen that as, they're not coming up with new updates and new things to add to the game. But if you really go back and check those bug report, or not the bug reports, but the patch updates, there were several patches that were just straight fixes, and so we've tried really hard. I know the teams have worked really hard to make sure that the everyday experience of you, the community, can really be as best as it can, be the best it can. And then after that, then we started tackling some of the biggest community issues. And if you'd like to maybe talk about maybe one of the most requested mechanics or things that the community wanted.
Yeah, kind of a few example requests on Games Together website and on the Discord too, and on Twitch sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of feedback here on Twitch that I pass along to the community team.
Yeah, it was a big topic about notification. So now players can control a little bit of the notification to which notification they want to expand automatically on the notification bar. We don't delete too much notification because each one are their own interest and their own information on it, but they took really too much space on the interface, so we can reduce the space and let the player choose which one they want to expand. For example, we saw on the video maybe the endgame condition to custom the endgame condition, to only have one or all, or just custom. The establishment of the challenge too. It was not an ask from player, but maybe it can be.
Yeah. I would almost say that, you know, the scenario challenges have kind of been a response to a need in the community. We tried really hard for a good bit there to create community challenges that were fun, engaging, and that also felt fair to people. And that's been actually that was really tough for us because, you know, there was a lot of things that we learned as the community team. We gave feedback about how the community was feeling, you know, feelings of being left out, if it was time sensitive or if the challenges were too hard or just more random based. And I think as time went on, we improved the ideas with that. But ultimately we realized that that sort of a system was something that was better left as a permanent thing in the game. And now, if you don't know, we actually have challenges going on monthly where it's a specific scenario that you, the player, can download and play straight from the game, and basically pit yourself against the other sweaty Humankind players in the community that are trying to get the best scores. And soon we will have Games Together badges that will honor and, you know, emblazon in stone, internet stone, the winners, the top ranking people of those challenges, which is super cool, you know, to see that go all the way from, you know, like the Dia de los Muertos event through Holi, you know,
the early events and
the Lunar New Year. Yeah. We've had a lot of these events, and I think the community will agree that these challenges are definitely more engaging.
Yeah, more engaging and aligned with their expectation at least.
Yeah, and I think that's super cool to see. I definitely think the community still, you know, loved the Mississippian event where they could unlock a free culture. Like that just feels cool. I love in games where you're able to earn something paid by playing the game, you know. So but yeah, that's awesome. You know, we've had so many things added to the game that have just been free updates, which is amazing. You know, we have had 2 DLCs which have added 12 new cultures, plus the Mississippians is 13 new cultures with new art, emblematic districts, emblematic units, and everything. Yeah. But accompanied with every single one of those has been updates to the game, has been you know, free things that we've just offered people that already own the base game, which I think is something really important to remember as a gamer. You know, when you get something for free, you can't take that for granted, you know. And so that's been good to see that the free updates have just kept on coming, and they will continue to keep on coming.
That's the plan to keep it up with a good pace, delivering like more and more stuff and free stuff, and it's not just reworking, but also adding features, and that's what we're gonna do with the next.
The expansion
pack, coming up.
Together we stream. I mean, rule. That's awesome. Yeah. So can we talk a little bit more about that? There are things in the future that you mentioned that you're going to be adding in free updates or new content drops and things like that. Can you maybe tease some of the things that we didn't get to in the first year, but that we do want to get to in the coming years?
Yeah, it's
the hard questions.
It's definitely an hard question, and you don't want to make any promise that you will not be able to fulfill. I mean, of course, we already announced that we are working hard on all the maritime aspect of the game, which includes, of course, the war aspect, but not only that, and I won't tell you more, but the whole maritime gameplay is under work.
It's under construction.
Reconstruction.
Sounds great.
Also, of course, we have in mind that the people are asking a lot of improvement for the religion system. It's something we definitely have in mind. Of course, we do already have a lot of ideas, and myself, I've been studying religion a lot during my my PhD and even before, and I have some ideas that I think I've never seen in any other game. So I'm quite confident it can be something new. But again, I cannot promise anything, and especially when it will be released, because at the moment I don't know yet. We are still a small team in comparison to when we were producing the game itself. So sometimes it's hard to be able to offer the players free new content and being able to produce a big expansion. So that's why I cannot tell you yet when we want to do that.
Yeah.
But religion, and maritime gameplay, and maybe trade at some point would be cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to kind of recap what you just said there, because I think it's really important for the audience back home to understand what Benoit just said. I love educating people about game design because prior to a year ago when I got this job, I had never worked in the games industry. And, when a game is being developed, there is a much larger team usually behind that. And once a game is launched, you don't usually keep all those people there still working on the game. And usually that team is sized down. And so essentially when you have that live service of a video game, it is, like you said, a relatively small number of people that are still trying to put out a bunch of new content. And I know the teams have been working really hard because there was a lot of work to be done. And so keep that in mind. I think I didn't understand that as a gamer, and so I'm assuming that some of our community maybe didn't understand that either. So I think it's a fair thing to mention.
Yeah, sometimes it takes time to implement your ideas.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to go in and make it happen. As well, you said maritime. Just for anybody out there that didn't get that, naval gameplay, I guess, would be another way to say that.
Yeah, naval gameplay and
naval
warfare, and also other aspects.
Ocean and water related things.
Water related, exactly.
Yes, yeah, cool. No, I know the word maritime, but I feel like that is maybe not as common of an English word.
It depends. In history, it is.
See, you're a historian, so you're like...
In papers,
your big brain.
I've read before, they are using the word maritime, so maybe... I don't know.
Justification.
Justification.
When I was younger, I actually was interested in joining in the US, it's not a branch of the military, but it's called the Merchant Marine Academy or something, but they use like maritime, as a very common term, so I've heard it a lot, but... Okay, yeah, see, Changlini's like, militarily, maritime is quite common. I don't know if everybody's familiar with military vernacular, so... Anyways, I thought I'd explain it, but... cool. That is awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing all that beautiful insight about last year's Humankind progress. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about Expansion 1.
It's the present, it's not even the future now.
Well, yes, I know. But the present is more of a... This is very philosophical, Benoit. I love philosophy, so like my brain is like, we should talk about this, but no, this is a gaming stream. But anyways, let's talk about Together We Rule. So, people may have seen a little bit about it. If you've gone onto Steam and you've digged a little bit into the notes, you may have seen some of the things. But for those of you that haven't, the expansion is there will be two parts to an update coming. It will be partially a free update to the game that will be adding things, and then it'll also have an optional DLC expansion that will be coming as well, that will add even more, that will build off of the things that are coming in the free update. Did I explain that
Yeah,
pretty
I
well?
see.
Yeah. So nobody is required to get the expansion, but it is an optional way to help support the development of the game. Obviously, without your support, it is impossible for us to continue to have jobs here, and we like our jobs, so it's very awesome when you all support us. But I'd like to talk a little bit about why we decided on this specific idea for the expansion. We talked a little bit about what we wanted to prioritize to add into the game first, and as the first real mechanical change, the big mechanical change that we're having here with the expansion, why do we choose to do this? The diplomacy is obviously a highly requested topic.
As I've said earlier, it's just because we already had this in mind that we maybe want at some point to expand the diplomatic gameplay and all those things related to diplomacy, but also because it has been one of the most requested things, so we've just adjust our schedule, and yeah, that's pretty it. Cool. And also there is so many fun things to do with diplomacy, so just talking about replayability, and for the players who have been playing the game for more than a year, I think it will add another layer of gameplay, and that's also what we wanted to provide.
Yeah, I think a focus for us as a studio has been to increase the feeling of connection with your empire, with your with the playthrough. You know, I think especially from the community, a lot of things that I've heard on stream or on the social medias. Is that people really liked the Endless Universe games because of the feeling of connection that you have with whatever faction that you're playing. And so I think one of our goals has been with Humankind is how do we bring that to a historical strategy game where you feel like you own this culture that is constantly evolving throughout the eras. And I think, having diplomacy, having this new more peaceful way to play goes again to help out with that, to explain your relationship with the other empires, the other nations that you're interacting with. And obviously there will be changes to how you even interact with the minor civilizations as well. And I think these things can really help you feel like you own the game, that it feels unique. We have a question here from Arachnodork. How you doing, Arachnodork? You consider espionage a part of diplomacy or something separate? See, this is actually a question that I had. I was like, this is a very ooh, peace is always an option type message with the trailer, the first trailer that we announced.
Maybe you want to answer this?
But there's also spies.
There are a lot to talk about. But yeah, okay, it's a more peaceful way to play.
It's a Cold War situation.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, there's a stealth kind of rework, a new type of units to not spoil anything, because there will be a game design stream to all the details. But yeah, new unit class, new way to interact with empires, new way to have pressure on empires and on kind of in a game in their globality, to put all your forces, all your diplomat forces, but just it's kind of abstract, but put pressure on empires. And it was kind of like in the gold version, because we have to had some diplomacy action, new diplomacy layers, as you said. So yes, spy.
So yeah, there will be some spies, of course, in the expansion.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the expansion. We want to go over some of the elements of the expansion, some of the major features. So let's first start with the change that's going to happen with the way it feels militarily. So there's lots of ways to win Humankind, to gain fame and win. How is the expansion going to assist players that don't want to necessarily win through military conquest?
That's one of the goals of this expansion, is to provide another kind of gameplay to the players and another kind of experience where they don't have to go full military because they can win another way. So we are trying with this expansion to provide some new tools, so you don't have to make war at least as long as you can, because sometimes your neighbor they don't think the same way as you do. But if you want to be a peaceful nation, no, you can. You have a lot of tools to either corrupt or make some propaganda, or to interact with all the empires in a global way, with a new feature called the Humankind Congress, which is a kind of, how do you say in English, ONU? United Nations? Sorry. The day have been quite long. So you have a lot of those different tools, and Spy is another of those ones. So you can, if you want, recreate a kind of Cold War where your spies are collecting intelligence, and they are also disrupting district and doing so many different stuff. The game designers will talk about that later, as Camille said. So we did want to provide the player this kind of new gameplay. And as well, one of the thing I like the most is now you can also have a kind of just one city gameplay, and which is something quite new, because usually if you wanted to win, having just one city was
pretty tough.
Yeah, pretty tough.
Yeah.
And now we are encouraging people with just having one city and being connected with other independent people, and recreating a kind of city-states confederation.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yeah. A humankind recreation, you could say.
Yeah.
No, I think that'll be really exciting to a lot of our players that like to play tall. Because I think in strategy games in general, you have tall and wide type strategies, and so that's going to be interesting to see what our players do with the new tools that are available to them.
Yeah.
So I feel like you talked a little bit about the Congress of Humankind. I feel like maybe a place to start where we can help explain how the Congress of Humankind is going to work is the new mechanical resource that you can collect, which is we're calling leverage. How do we get leverage? What do we do with leverage when we get it?
You want to do it, yeah?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's an important resource. Again, I mean, you can talk about resources, but it's leverage can be collected and can be spent.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not a physical resource, maybe.
Yeah.
But the word leverage itself, you're using something relatively small to move a big thing, and I think that applies very, very cleanly to how nations interact with each other. So
it represents in a more concrete way your pressure and your diplomatic force, as I can say. Only the new type of unit can collect it, except if you have the new affinity.
The diplomatic affinity, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. With all your unit can collect leverage, but if you don't have this affinity, it's only the new unit class agents. And so, to explain a little bit, leverage appears as curiosity. So you saw how to collect curiosity, but it appears only when a grievance occurs between two empires. So you can play peacefully, but to collect leverage, you have to tackle a little bit about with all of the empires. So peaceful.
Yeah. I was thinking about the way that I want to go off script for a little bit here and
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about in multiplayer games. I think this is going to be really interesting because
It is. We've done some tests, and it's extremely interesting in
well,
multiplayer games.
you only have there's only going to be one new diplomatic culture per era that's going to be to have this affinity. So I almost wonder if there's going to be some amount of like race to like get to the next era to pick a diplomatic culture if that's your strategy. Obviously, if it's the best idea every single time, then that's a balance issue.
No. The fact is, everybody can collect leverages with their agents. So everybody has access to agents and to this new currency. But what the difference is mainly that with your diplomatic affinity, the different legacy traits will maybe provide more leverage or help you having some discount on those leverage or things like that. And also you will have access to more agents because there is a cap. So normally there is the number of agents you can build is linked to the number of players. So if there is one player on 5 AI, there is only say 6 agents you can build. So you will have an extra agents, and also you will be able to do 2 things. First, to collect those leverages with your basic units, so it will be easier for you, and you will have access to a demilitarized zone. So you can demilitarize a full territory. So
we got that up on stream if you can see that chat. But
and this will help you to also collect and gather leverages, because every trespassing unit will automatically generate
a grievance.
Leverages.
Right. The grievances will then generate the leverage. Right. So this is the ability of the diplomatics affinities, which is a very interesting one, I think. I can think of a lot of different implementations, depending on the size of the map, having certain choke points, or, even just when you have like a really big map, being able to have extra units to search for the leverage, is going to kind of be an interesting thing because, if you have a really big map, it takes a long time to get from one side to the other. And so it's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited to get my hands on it.
But we did some tests, and you can play diplomatic as well with other cultures. It's not. It would be easier.
A military diplomat.
Yeah. You can be a military diplomat. There is plenty of examples through history there. Yeah. Of course. Or expansionist, diplomatic, and also pacifist, whatever you want to call it. But yes, that's if you don't have directly access to those diplomatic culture, you can still play diplomatic. It's all right.
So I'd see a question from Orzislaw, that I actually feel like is a really good question. I'm not able to read all of chat, but that one popped out at me. They say, will Austro-Hungarians be repurposed to a diplomatic affinity? So I know that these are the first 6 cultures that will be diplomatic. Do we have any ideas or plans to maybe repurpose some of the old?
Not at the moment. Their unit will be slightly changed to help the players, for example, to reveal the spies. So there are the evidence bureau agents, which is in fact historically speaking the first kind of counter-spy unit in history.
Counter-espionage.
Espionage, exactly. Contre-espionnage.
Yeah,
in French.
Très France.
So this unit will be reworked a little bit, but we don't have plans to change the affinities for vanilla cultures. Yeah.
Right. Well, I guess that would be kind of a bit of a sticky wicket if you have people that don't own the expansion and then you change the affinity for a culture that's in the vanilla. Then the next question,
and it's really a mess to have to rework all those previous cultures.
And balance them and everything,
it's complicated, to be honest.
So then I guess my next question is going forward, when we add new cultures and future DLCs, is there a chance that some of them might end up being diplomatic cultures?
For next DLCs?
For future DLCs, any future DLCs?
No, I think because at the moment, well, our philosophy is not having future content that
is reliant on past content. Okay,
because that would mean you have to buy 2 expansion or 2 packs to be able to play with those kind of things. So it doesn't make sense. So we prefer the players to be able to pick the different pack they want and to have the game shape the game they want at the very end.
That is a really, really good answer to my question. I feel like that's actually a really good point, that me as a gamer, I'm like, ooh, what if they're all connected? But then also as somebody who needs to purchase these things to be able to play them, it's very nice that it's modular so that it's not like you feel like, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, oh, I want to watch the next series. Oh, did you see the other side series that they made that have secrets about that? Yeah. Like, oh, goodness. You have to watch so much TV.
To answer 66 feet, yes, you can capture spies. You can reveal spies and capture them. And so it will generate, of course, grievances and leverage.
Nice. You caught them snooping around your territory? No. All right, Jojo France asks, what happens if a territory is demilitarized, but a player attacks the city in that territory? I think even just entering into the territory itself will cause the grievance, but it won't stop them, right?
No, there is 2 main effects. The first one, the units will suffer attrition entering the demilitarization zone, if I remember well, and then every single turn spent in the DMZ will generate leverage. So if you don't want to give free leverages to another players, don't go in this kind of territories.
Yeah, so the units will actually take damage by staying in the demilitarized zone. I'm curious.
Yeah, because you will have a trespassing status.
Right. Interesting. Demilitarization, yeah. Very cool. I think that'll definitely balance it. Make it not ideal to to go in there.
And just to be clear, the effect won't be instant. It will apply the next turn, so the people will have a chance to
get back out.
Yeah, to get back.
Okay. All right, I see some more good questions, but I do want to keep on getting through. I don't know what time it is.
Yeah, I don't know what time is it as well.
I think we're pretty good on time, but we'll see. We can keep on moving here, and then when we get to the end, maybe we can just keep on going over questions then.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so let's see. New cultural wonders and natural wonders. I feel like one of the cultural wonders in specific stands out. Seeing as we're a French studio, you want to talk about the Palace of Versailles?
Château de Versailles, of course. Well, it's simple. We've chosen this one because first, I've never seen it in any other strategic game or 4X game. And also, to be honest, I've been working in the Château de Versailles back in the days, so I definitely wanted to add it at some point. But in fact, in a diplomatic expansion, it does make sense because what the palace did represent back in the days in the 18th century, it was just the center of Europe and of all the diplomatic relationships all across Europe. So at the very end, if there is a building other than the United Nations headquarters that represented well the diplomatic aspect, it was this one.
That's super cool.
At least to me.
Where is the UN headquarters? Is it in Switzerland? Or? I feel like it's
no,
Switzerland, but that's
It's in fact, there is different headquarters. It's something I learned during the production. But the main one, the one we know, I think it's in the US, and it might be in New York, if I remember well. But
I feel like that's something that I should know, I guess.
Yeah, but there is different headquarters
across the world. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the main one is in New York.
In New York, okay. Very cool. New York State, I'm assuming. New York City
is...
It's
in New York.
It's in New York City. Is it actually in New York City?
Cheddar Beast, thank you.
Cheddar Beast.
I read the chat.
Manhattan. It's in Manhattan. Where in the heck would you put it in Manhattan? It's so crowded. That's crazy. Yeah, I believe chat because they have Google at their disposal and we're just sitting here. That's super cool. The more I learn about history, Benoit, you inspire me with the history, comments and the things and every time that I'm streaming and we're playing Humankind and chat's just like, yo, you didn't know this, Jordan? And I'm like, how am I supposed to know all these things? Oh, there's so much history, there's so much...
and that's something really enjoyable with the production of Humankind. You're always learning something.
Yeah,
always.
I didn't know
every
that
single
it was
day.
Called the Chateau de Versailles. I didn't know that it was a place where they did a bunch of, kind of treaty type stuff. I feel like there has been like a famous treaty with the U.S. in the Palace of Versailles, maybe? Maybe now that you're saying that.
Well, there is a lot of treaties that...
Y'all gave us the Eiffel Tower, right? That was designed by French people.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the Eiffel Tower.
The
Statue of Liberty.
It was designed by Eiffel, Gustave Eiffel, who did the Eiffel Tower.
I meant the Statue of Liberty. Wasn't that...
But I think it's it depended on something else. It's not related to any...
History is hard, okay? There's so many things. The Treaty of Versailles. 20th century is named after. Okay, a giant treaty.
Yeah, but the Treaty of Versailles, it's something else related to World War I.
Right, okay. Got it. So anyways, that's going to be in the game. The Palace of
Versailles, of course.
Yeah, that's going to be very cool. I'm going to build it for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the agents. So the agents are going to have a special stealth rework, let's say. So in the past, stealth worked differently, but now there's going to be a different way that stealth works. So if an agent who is a unit that has the ability to be stealthed goes into an enemy territory, let's talk about what happens to that unit. As you can see here on screen, your unit will receive a concealed status, and there will be something called stealth health. Can you maybe explain a little bit about that? I know the general concept, but maybe you can go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, sure. To sum up a little bit, the agents will not be the only unit to be stealth, but not all agents will be stealth too. There's 3 types of agents, 3 units of agents. But from this one, for the spy and the spy master, yes, so they have to be stealth. They can perform actions when they're into an hostile territory, and they have some stealth health, as you can see, and you can set stealth values of rating. That will be decreasing per turn when entering a territory. Because, okay, you have spies, you have to infiltrate the territory, but the territory will have some detection specificity, detection district or detection army to decrease more and more your stealth value. The more, yeah.
I was gonna say no. That was a great explanation. I will say we will go over this more as well in an upcoming stream.
Right.
We at the end of the stream we'll talk more about the streams that are coming next, because we will be having some more special dev streams in the upcoming weeks. One of them will be about the game design specifically, where we can get into the nitty-gritty of why and what exactly. There also will be a slew of new tutorials that will be added, since some of these mechanics may be a little bit confusing with the stealth health, stealth rating, detection rating. We know that it's a lot to handle maybe at the beginning, but basically, like you said, your unit has an ability to be stealthed. The district that you're entering has, well, I shouldn't say district, the territory that you're entering has a detection rating, essentially how good they are at finding spies, and depending on their rating, your spy will essentially stay stealth for a certain period of time, and it's a little bit of a mathematical equation of that stealth health going down over time. And so...
But you will have a new screen for that, and everything will be clear. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. The UI in the game will make it very obvious when it's stealth, when it's not. In the past, it's been a little confusing, and this is going to make it a lot better. And I think honestly quite cool, because you're going to be able to have, you know, not stealthed units and stealth units that are concealed units.
Yeah.
The in-game term is concealed units, and they're going to be, you know, getting up to no good, hopefully. Will there be stealth ships in this expansion? That is a great question.
No, there is no new ships unit, maybe with the maritime rework.
Yeah, the maritime.
Maritime?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're
French
good.
accent again.
You're good. We got another question from Nefarious Bread. What would we stealth? Okay, stealth ships in the expansion. Yes. Oh, sorry. That was the question I just read. Thank you. I'm just too quick. I'm too quick, Etienne. Etienne is our producer, by the way. Huge shout out for Etienne. He's doing a great job today here in the stream. So thanks to him. All right, let's keep on going. Let's talk a little bit about, okay, so your agents are going out. Your opponents or other players, I feel like opponents sounds too aggressive, you know? Like, maybe they're your friends that you're just playing Humankind with. But anyways, the other empires, you're going to be generating grievances, you're going to be picking up leverage with your agents, unless you're a diplomatic culture, in which case you can pick them up with anybody. What are you going to do with that leverage? There's a new special district that you can build. Let's talk a little bit about embassies.
Go ahead. You've been working on it a lot, so...
Yeah, there is a new tab in diplomacy screen. But first, you have to have the technology to have the embassy district, then build it, then meet other empires, not all. But it's more option to have a one-to-one interaction with each major empire. And you will have some agreements, as some treaties, but not the same as treaties. So some agreements to work with this empire. It's not a militarist gameplay. It's more peaceful, as we said, but tricky with the leverage. And you can put some pressure on the other empire through embassy by spend leverage on some actions to reveal their spies or stealth unit, to, as you can see, a diplomatic ultimatum? Yeah, but so, yeah, agreements, actions. So, to be nice, but not so nice with our empire.
Yeah, so you'll notice, chat, that this some of these things are going to feel very similar to the agreements that you can have with somebody that you're allied with. You know, you see there it says scientific correspondence.
Yeah.
My eyes aren't what they used to be, but but essentially some of these you know, agreements that you can have with these other cultures are going to allow even new and more interesting ways to interact, maybe work together. You know, maybe you have somebody that's deciding that war is the only option, and you are, you know, helping out the other peaceful nations to share technology, share other things that you'll see more of when you get into the game. But those are going to be really powerful tools. And potentially, if you aren't part of these agreements, you're going to fall behind. You're going to be at a big disadvantage. Would you like to talk about how this might affect the way that, you know, people are going to play this in a multiplayer setting, or if the AI are involved?
Of course. Well, yeah, I do agree that if you are not using those new tools, you can fall behind, but you might find other way to play and other places you are good at. But still, those are powerful agreements and more powerful than the one you already have. For example, you will be able to build the emblematic units of the other empires you have an agreement with. Or with the leverage section, you will obliged?
You're obligated to?
Yeah, you are. You make the AI or the other players. They must reveal to you all their stealth units.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, all those kind of things that are quite
If you're
powerful.
my friend.
Yeah, but at the very end, collecting leverage is not that easy. So there is a kind of balance between what you can do and what you choose to do, because you won't have hundreds of leverages, and you will have to make choices.
Very cool. I like it. So what's the difference between treaties and embassy agreements then? Why not incorporate them into the same mechanic? Corgi Wealth, great question.
Well, where do I start? In fact, historically speaking, before embassies, what we call embassies nowadays existed, so it's something quite not contemporary but modern. The agreements and treaties you did have were kind of straightforward. And then, because you started in, I think, the 14th or 15th centuries, you started to have permanent embassies. You had more in-depth kind of agreements, and people that were living in those countries and looking after those treaties. And it's something that didn't exist before, because you had some kind of envoys before, and they were just having, as I've said, like straightforward treaties, and that was all. So basic things. And straight after that, you had a more complex kind of treaties.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to do and to offer the people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, humans have, we've progressed over time, and our ways of interacting with each other have definitely evolved over time as well. When you were talking, I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but embassies can't be built until later eras, right?
Not later, no. Embassies can be built when you have at least met somebody. Okay. And you will have to invest in building an embassy, and if it's destroyed, you won't have access anymore to the agreements, or it will be frozen. But you are referring to the Congress of Humanity. Right,
the Congress of Humanity is only unlockable once everybody has met everybody.
At least one has made the connection to anybody.
So as long as one person has met everybody, then the Congress of Humankind can be formed.
Also, it is at least unlockable, not unlocked until the early modern era.
The early modern era, okay. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that there's certain things that won't be able to be unlocked until you reach a certain technological era.
And you need to have an embassy as well. So many conditions, but...
And unlocked international civics.
Yes.
Something that it's not as much as visible as we wanted to. In the current game, there are two types of civics: the normal civics and the international one. And we used the international civics to be a part of the Congress of Humanity.
Cool. Yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about what role that's going to play in the game? I'm assuming we can talk a little bit about this. So essentially, when something happens in the game, let's say, I don't know, someone starts a war with you, and you can elevate that grievance to the Congress of Humankind. So your little war on your side of the world could actually become something that the larger group of people actually talks about, decides on things. And as you can see in this graphic, this is a little bit more about the Congress of Humankind, what Camille was talking about, the international crises, deciding these international civics and things like that. Let's talk a little bit more about that. If you all could explain a little bit more about how this works.
Yeah. So yeah, through so the demands, as you can see, the crisis, you can upgrade it to the international crisis, because you're not alone in the game. So there will be a vote, and each empire have to vote to support which the one side. But to vote, you have to collect leverage, because leverage and over bonuses will shape your international sway. It's the little number you can see just next to the horse's icon. So you can only vote when you have some, and it represents your force. Your diplomatic forces has leverage, but it's composed by leverage.
It kind of looks like a pawn, I think is what I would say. Chat, if you can see the little icon that looks like a pawn.
Yeah.
From like chess.
Yeah, from chess, definitely it is.
Yeah. Okay. I was just saying to help chat know what they're looking at here, because obviously this is a whole different UI. Which congratulations on making it look good. You have different leverage amounts. Obviously, the other empires have 0 in this screenshot, but
yeah,
we're to assume that they probably wouldn't have 0.
They would have some.
And so the more leverage that you have, the more sway, the more power that you have with your vote.
Yeah.
Kind of like on Games Together. The more points you have, the more you can upvote certain things. And so the leverage that you're going around and collecting through each turn as you're going to explore with your agents and whatnot, that will directly translate into these decisions that are made on the global scale.
Exactly.
And so your decisions on the turn-to-turn basis will have a huge impact on how the whole game is played out, basically.
Yeah, yeah, it's another level
yeah.
of thinking, just trying to interact the best way with other empires, and sometimes just trying to force them, do what you want to do. Because you have a more diplomatic aura or sway. So it's just a good example of what international politics really is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so at the very end, there is some big powers that are just asking the others to do what they want.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be really interesting to see.
But you can always refuse. You will have maluses or sanction, but you can refuse. There is always an option.
Yeah. So this is, I was just thinking about another thing, and this is actually going to have an effect with the minor civilizations as well. So before, if you wanted to interact with the minor civilization, basically what you did is you went up to them and you were like, hey, do you want some money? Do you want some influence? It was basically a bribe, kind of. Can you talk about how that interaction with the minor civilizations is going to be changing with the expansion?
First, I just wanted to remind the people that the Congress of Humankind is not just about international crisis. There is also other options and things to discuss with the other civilization or cultures. But we decided as well to rework the minors, because it was kind of empty, because you had only a few ways to interact with the minors, but we totally reworked the way you will interact and have access to different things according to the relation you have with the minors and to the level of
Alignment.
alignment, and patronage you have with the minor. So you will have to invest constantly if you want the minor to be aligned with you, and if you want to be able to sign treaties, because now you have to sign different kind of treaties to have different options.
Mm-hmm. So how are your relationships with how is your investment going to pay dividends? You're investing in your relationship with the minor civilizations. Let's say something happens on a global scale. What is that going to mean for you?
It depends, because to be really honest, there is a lot of different options you have with those treaties. So you can have access to strategic resources, for example, an amount of their money, science, or production. You can also have them as kind of vassal. You can vassalize them. You can absorb them, and you can just use their unit as mercenaries. So there is plenty of things you can do according to what you need, and if you are able to do it. Right. Because you are in competition with the other empires.
Right, of course. Cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to have the minor civilizations play a major role in the game. See what I did there? Oh, goodness. Cool. So, chat, you're hearing all these new things. You're thinking to yourself, wow, this sounds really cool. Let's separate in the minds of our viewers what is coming in the free update and what is coming in the expansion. Because, for example, the minor civilization rework is something that is coming in the free update, which we're calling the Metternich. Is it niche? I think it's niche. The Metternich.
I can tell you it's niche.
I'm going to have Stephanie in the chat being like, it's Metternich. But anyways, the name of the free update that's coming along with the Together We Rule expansion will include...
So, for the free update?
Yes.
The rework of the minors, it will include reinforcement for battle, so third-party reinforcement, and the new stealth rework with a new way to be concealed or to do things. And I saw the question earlier on in the chat. The saboteur will change. It will the unit itself will have another purpose, which is to ambush other armies.
Very cool.
Kind of new. The ambush system will be new as well, and it's part of the free update.
We'll talk more about that in the game design stream, by the way. So don't worry if you're like, what ambushes? We'll talk more about it later. But so stealth, miners, and a host of fixes.
Yeah, of course, always.
Of course, we have to mention the quality of life fixes and things that are going to be added along with that update, which the patch notes will be on Games Together when the patch goes live. So if you're curious about all the nitty-gritty details about those things that are going into the game, definitely look at the patch notes. We have another question from Nefarious. Will the UI rearrangement be included for free?
Yes.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of changes, and we already have some feedbacks to improve it. So don't worry, if you're not used to the UI, I know it's kind of different.
It's not that much different.
The science is in a completely different place, right?
Yeah, it is, but we did that because we have a plan of course features we want to add to the game. So we definitely wanted to put the science icon in your kind of empire overall gestion, so with all the themes and all this stuff. And for the bottom left, we wanted to remain on a more international level and to have some space for future content.
I have seen the long list of potential UI layouts that we had to choose from, and I can pull back the screen a little bit for all of you. There were a lot. There were a lot of options. There were a lot of ideas thrown out. We're working really hard to try and make it so that the UI is as compact and easy to look at as possible, but yet can show as much information as possible, which is kind of a really hard thing to do, especially with a game like Humankind where there is a lot of information. So we hope that you like the changes to the UI as well. And like Camille said, we're going to continually be looking at more ways, better ways to update that in the future. When will the release date be? So we're going to be having 3 streams in the next 3 weeks leading up to the release of the Together We Rule expansion. So very soon, it's essentially 3 weeks away. At the end of the stream, in fact, probably right now, if you go to humankind.game, you can go to the website right now and pre-purchase the game, the expansion for Humankind. And there is a small little gift for anybody that is looking to get it ahead of time, which is a 10% discount. So yeah, it will be very close to Halloween, but it's not Halloween themed.
No.
Diplomacy of pumpkins. We're gonna have a gourd time with our diplomacy update. But anyways, very cool. Let's see, more questions. Yeah, let's talk about the streams that are coming up really quick. So today's stream was about the overview of the expansion, which, by the way, if you have any questions, general questions about the expansion, what's coming, the new update, please ask those in the chat now. Use @Amplitude Studio so that it gets highlighted, so that Etienne can put that down here. But basically, in the upcoming 3 weeks, next week on Wednesday, we're going to have a game design stream where we'll be talking about the nitty-gritty details about all the mechanics and the reasons why we chose certain things. And then the next stream is going to be about art. We're going to talk about all the lovely, beautiful art things that are going to be coming, including the new cultures, the new monuments, wonders, all that jazz. And then the next week, we're going to be talking about the history and talking about all the beautiful, very relevant reasons for why things were chosen. Because as a game, we want the game to be fun and engaging, but we also want it to be historically accurate as it can be. And as you probably noticed, we love choosing elements of history that are maybe underappreciated or underrepresented in the gaming industry. And so we will have special developer guests for all of those streams, and we'll be having the schedule for those streams posted on our Twitter. So in about 12 minutes, there'll be a post that goes live with that schedule on there. So check that out. And all that information will be available on a blog as well on Games Together. Can you share rejected names for this expansion? I've actually seen the list of names.
Not on live.
Yeah. come to a...
to a Games Together meeting or any...
Drinks together.
Yeah, exactly. Together. Or on some, I don't know, Gamescom or whatever. When we are, and maybe we can have a quick chat over a beer. And I will tell you, but
I remember seeing the design document about choosing the name, actually.
Yeah.
You might think... I mean, actually, maybe the fact that you're asking that question makes me realize that they probably are imagining the type of time and effort that goes into just choosing the name for something. But yeah, it's not as simple as you might think. Bureaucrat Brawl, yes. Very much so. There you go, Dark Arrow linked. If you want to see the schedule for the upcoming streams, it's right there. Oh, speaking of, there's another thing that we should definitely mention. So, as you can see there on the stream, Etienne, you're a wonder. Thank you. There is the stream schedule. A little graphic I whipped up for it. Basically what we want to have you do, please help us out here. we want your questions for these streams. So basically, if you have a question for the designers that are going to come on the stream for any of these 3 streams, if you will reply in this thread on Games Together, we will have these questions prepared, and they'll have time to think about the best answer that they can come up with for that, and then we'll go over it on the stream. So basically, please go over to Games Together now, follow that link, and please put any questions that you have. These game design questions can be things ranging from the balance to the specific mechanical things of the leverage, the Congress of Humankind, whatever it may be. Art design, if you have friends that are interested in getting into art as a career, if you're interested in the process that it takes to make 2D art, 3D art, the illustrations, animations, maybe we won't have all the answers, but feel free to leave a question. And then history, feel free to ask any of the questions that you might have, and we'll do our best. It's going to be an exciting next couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot of information that we share, and we hope that you're as excited as we are. Yes. I know that a lot of time and effort has gone into this expansion.
And to the next one as well.
And into the next one, yeah. Well, and, perhaps the people at home don't realize how long you've been working on this expansion, or when you started working on this expansion. Probably shortly after the launch.
The first time I think we had a discussion about it was maybe last November or December or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It
has been a long journey.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the labor of love, the amount of passion that goes into this game from our designers. So we're happy to share this with you. I didn't see any other questions, so thank you all very much. I don't think that there's anything else that we got. Just as a heads up for all of you, we're going to be ending the stream here in the next couple of minutes, but I will be back at 6 p.m., so in like a half an hour. I'll be back for our normally scheduled programming, which will be me playing the scenario, the hardest scenario in the history of humankind, and seeing how I do with that. But definitely come to that stream, because we will be having some more juicy details, some more news. I can't say anything about it just yet, but just know it's worth it. Just come, and we'll tell you about it in approximately a couple of hours. Not that long actually now, but very soon. So see you all in a little bit. Camille, Benoit, thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to say before we head out here? I don't want to cut you all off if you had things that you want to express. Because the amount of time that you, the community, get to actually sit here and just have like a conversation with the designers, it's treasured time. It doesn't happen all that often. So
just say thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, and I do agree with the people of the chat that the Bulgarian dress and the Bulgarian costume are just amazing. That's pretty much it for me. And well, see you later. Enjoy the stream, enjoy the expansion, I hope.
Heck yeah. Thank you all very much. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope to see you in just over a half an hour for another stream. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
The very first expansion of Humankind, Together We Rule, introduces a major upgrade to the diplomacy and relationship system of the game. The new units, quarters, and features of this expansion will offer you new ways to negotiate, spy, and sign treaties to prove that those who make peace also make history. But winning peace is not always an easy feat. You will need to master the arts of mediation and persuasion to come out on top. Agents are a new type of unit for you to recruit. There are two kinds of agents. Envoys are your empire's representatives. They will have unrestricted movement on the map to spread your diplomacy to rival empires and even independent peoples. When you're playing for peace, words are sharper than swords. However, if you prefer to stay in the shadows, spies and spy masters are the way to go. They can infiltrate other empires to perform special actions, such as siphoning districts to steal their resources. The reworked stealth mechanic will allow your spies to remain hidden. Watch out for certain districts and military units that might bring that stealth down. When it reaches 0, your unit will be revealed. All agents will be able to collect a new type of currency named leverage, a resource that will be key to your diplomatic actions. Embassies are new quarters that you can build in the heart of your cities. They will strengthen your diplomatic ties with other empires, unlocking new agreement options. These agreements can be very beneficial to both signing parties. For example, the research agreement reduces the cost of scientific discoveries already made by the other empire. If you want to be a bit more persuasive, you can spend the leverage you've collected to force your opponent to take certain actions. You could force them to lower their war support against you, or pose an ultimatum to start a war, unless your demands are immediately answered. The way you use your leverage is up to you, but will be a critical factor in your relationship with other empires. Whoever said diplomacy was all about friendly handshakes? Diplomacy is not just limited to bilateral relationships. The expansion will introduce the Congress of Humankind, an international forum where all are invited to weigh in on world politics. Together, you and your fellow empires can influence global doctrines and vote on civics. Once a civic has been voted, every player will be given the choice to either enact it or refuse it for a huge amount of influence. You can also help arbitrate crises between empires. Once a conflict is in the Congress's hands, every empire will be able to choose which side to support. Wars might escalate quickly through the Congress, so don't underestimate the importance of your diplomacy. All empires will be able to vote, but the sway of your voice depends on your leverage. Having a say in the world order is always a good idea. If you can't wait to make diplomacy the core of your empire, the expansion also introduces 6 brand new cultures for you to choose as you move through the eras: the Sumerians, Han, Bulgarians, Swiss, Scots, and Singaporeans. These cultures come with the new Diplomat affinity, which offers 2 exclusive abilities. Their active skill allows them to demilitarize a territory for several turns. When used, it will give units who set foot there a trespassing status that causes them to lose health over time, and give the initiating empire grievances and precious leverage. Their passive skill allows all the empire's units, not just agents, to collect leverage. This affinity also introduces a new way for you to gain fame in the form of diplomatic stars, which you can earn by collecting leverage in each era. Along the path to diplomatic hegemony, you may stumble upon one of the new wonders of the expansion, such as the impressive Palace of Versailles, the extraordinary Monument Valley, or even the Grand Congress of Humankind. These will make for glorious additions to your pacifist empire. The path to victory in Humankind varies greatly according to playstyles, and the Together We Rule expansion introduces a whole new way for your empire to rise above all. Our ambition is to keep improving the game, to deepen and diversify its mechanics. With this expansion, diplomacy is more immersive than ever, a rich system that can be made the front and center of your empire's strategy. Will you use leverage to gain an edge on opponents, or work to ensure peace for the world? No matter which path you decide to pursue, your goal remains unchanged. Leave your mark on Humankind. Humankind, Together We Rule. Pre-purchase now.